Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm, yeah. Born and dead, saved by love, count my blessings from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have a vision. It's clear and plain. People
What you wear says something about you, about who you are, what you believe, and what you stand for. So here in the Love and Stuff community, we wear the brand that we live, and we live the brand that we wear because we love the brand. It's all about increasing the amount of love in the world and upping our love game. And if that's what you're about, you should wear it too. If that's what you're about, you should wear it too. I'm Marcus Holmes. A little bit under the weather today, but I'm excited nonetheless to be here, and I hope that you are too. Whether you're watching us tonight on Facebook Live from the Marcus R. Holmes page, or from where we emanate the Love and Stuff community page, or if you're watching us from any of the love groups that we're attached to on Facebook, Twitch TV, Twitter, YouTube events, or Instagram Live tonight, I hope that you will click share and tag subscribers with the chat, because we're excited that your comments will catch. We're hoping it's like we're having some challenge with your comments already, but Restream is upping its love game so that we can hear all of the comments from all of you, and we will be doing an overlay as soon as I get confirmation that the chat is okay. All right, so I'm excited about that, and now I am on another device going to be live as well on TikTok. And I want to thank all of you that are over there that are watching us live for Love and Stuff across all these platforms, of course, on a different device for that one. One day soon, we'll be able to bring you into the fold of Restream as soon as I get a few more folks sharing with us there. All right, so click share and tag someone. I have placed, it's telling me that they cannot hear me. We're having all the way around. Let's get this together. Let's do it. All right, looks like that's better. All right, want to move this over a little bit. I was thinking about this topic that has been in the inbox for a bit, and I thought it was apropos for this season, this time, because so many people are contending with being alone during the Christmas holiday, contending with being by themselves, some feeling lonely. And so I wanted challenges there. I'm not so sure what's happening. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, we should have some connection there. All right, it's giving me some challenge there. All right. About what the lonely do at Christmas. So it's kind of, is it a Yuletide blessing or not? And whether you are alone during Christmas or with a room filled with having some connections in and out there, but we're going to work at it, keep working at it. Not exactly sure what is happening here, but we're going to fix it somehow. Okay, it's telling me no connection. Okay, all right, trying to figure it out. What's happening here? Okay, let's get it together. I apologize. Okay, hopefully that helped. The microphone has been used by another app. Okay, well, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, we're going to see what happens if we can fix it. I'm not so sure. It's telling me something different. Okay. All right. Let's hopefully you can hear me. Okay. Hopefully you can. Give me some shouts out if you can. And I want to thank you, whether you're watching us on whichever platform, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of those platforms or any of them, click share and tag someone to join us. All right. So I thought I'd bring this topic out of the inbox, as I often do, because so many people are alone or feel lonely on Christmas or around Christmas time. And I would say, not as a psychologist, because I am not, but I would say from my personal experience that if you are not aware that you are in any kind of grief space, any kind of depressive space, there are some signs that you might consider as safeguarding yourself before entering into contracts, entering into covenants, entering into relationships, entering into commitments, because you may not be well positioned to be able to do that. And so during this time of the year, when some people are dealing with deep grief and trauma and loss that has occurred, you may not want to use this as the time to do any of those things. But I want to bring to your attention that because you are having feelings of loneliness does not mean that you have to go through the holidays alone. And you can set healthy boundaries so that you don't cross these lines where you are entering into territories that might be dangerous for you. It could be perfectly fine for someone else, but it might be dangerous for you. And so I want to encourage you to click share and tag some folks to join us as I share this topic. It is pinned in Restream, not pinned, of course, on the platforms that don't integrate as yet. And we're still waiting to get confirmation that the the Twitter feed is live, because I will share the chat for those of you that are watching it that way. So here's from the inbox. I may have to take this off in a second, but what do the lonely do at Christmas? Contemplate marriage? The writer from the inbox says, I've been divorced for 9 years, and I have worked through most of the issues that contributed to the destruction of our marriage, she says. And he, referring to her ex-husband, has too. Recently, our adult son passed suddenly. We have spent considerable time together to comfort our children and each other in many ways. We have talked about getting back together, but I feel like it's out of loneliness and trauma. He has invited me to spend Christmas together, to spend it with him, and I don't want to be alone. Should I? Our children say yes, and our mothers, both of their mothers, say no. So I wanted to ask the question of you. If you are in a situation where you're bonding or reconnecting, rekindling in the midst of a traumatic experience, what would you do? Would you spend that time with your ex? Would you set healthy boundaries to ensure that you all aren't making a decision because of the trauma, because of what you're experiencing? Or would you decide not to do it? I want to hear from you in the comments. What are your thoughts? What would you do? I'm very interested to hear from you, and I think I will be able, to pin this topic. I'll try to do it anyway. It looks like it will pin across let's see. Okay, hopefully it's pinned. All right. What would you do? I'm interested to hear from you, whether you're on Facebook Live with me, you're on Twitch TV, Twitter, YouTube events. I want to hear from you, and we'll share the comments as they roll in. All right. Want to give you a second to think about that. What would you do if you found yourself comforting an ex-spouse over the loss of your child? Having those nostalgic feelings of times you were together, the good times, reminiscent of all of the love and joy that you shared, but you realize you're brought together by a traumatic event. What would you do if you were brought back with your ex over a traumatic event and your ex wants to rekindle? You have been talking about rekindling as well, but you're kind of wondering whether or not it's because of the current situation, because you hadn't been talking about getting together before the sudden loss of a child, which in and of itself can be devastating. What would you do? I'm very interested to hear what you would do. They have not been married for 9 years, so they've been divorced for 9 years. Married for decades, I will say that amount. I won't go much farther into that, respecting their desire for anonymity. And this is the side of one of the two individuals. The other individual isn't even aware of this, even aware that they're sharing this topic here. Trauma bonding, Lacey Babin says, and thank you for joining us on TikTok, is a real thing. Tell me a little bit more. What I think I know what you mean, but tell me a little bit more. Trauma bonding is a real thing. Are you an advocate of that? Do you think it just depends on the situation, the maturity of two individuals, how healed they are from the past? Because what she says is that she feels that she's worked through most of the issues that contributed to she characterizes it, Lacey, as the destruction of their marriage. And so my question when I heard that word to her in the inbox was, how do you move from destruction, as she characterized it, to resurrection, to reconciliation? When you suffer with someone, it causes your body to release a hormone. Okay. All right. I love that. I love that. Lacey, click share and tag some folks to join us in this discussion. I want to get more people. You're raising a great point, and I want to get more people from TikTok involved in the discussion. And those of you that are on Facebook or YouTube events, thank you for joining us. Click share. Looking for more folks to come on Twitter and drop your names, because I can't know on Twitter or some of these other platforms unless you drop your name as a comment. It won't notify me that you are here. So I'm thankful that you're here, but I'd like to acknowledge you as we talk about this topic that comes from the inbox. We try each Tuesday to bring you topics as they come to us in the inbox to discuss on love and relationships and everything in between. We believe that we're all called to increase the amount of love in the world. And in order for us to do that, I believe we should be open with our love front and center to hear and experience other perspectives about how love should inform our individual constitution. I believe we all have a constitution of unwritten rules, and those rules govern how we live, act, and navigate. And our love should influence that constitution for the good. And so that's our hope in the Love and Stuff community. And we're grateful to be sharing it with our friends and community on TikTok tonight, as well as the other wonderful places that we have been blessed to be. I wanted to bring this from the inbox to your attention and to get some feedback that we might share with this person from the inbox. Just checking across platforms. So if you see me look away, I'm just trying to make sure we are. I haven't heard anything from Instagram, so I'm not even sure that we're still live there, but I hope that we are. All right. First time navigating all of these platforms, and I'm working on continuing the navigation. All right. If you're just joining us, the topic should be pinned, and I will read it once again. What do the lonely do at Christmas? Contemplate marriage, From our inbox, she says, I've been divorced for 9 years and I have worked through most of my issues that contributed to the destruction of our marriage. And he, she's referring to her ex-husband, has too. Recently, our adult son passed suddenly. He passed away suddenly. We have spent considerable time together to comfort our children and each other in many ways. We'll get to that in a minute. We have talked about getting back together, but I feel like it's out of loneliness and trauma. They're both single. He was remarried, but they're both single. Spend Christmas, keep having this connection challenge. Okay. And I don't want to be alone, she says. Should I? Meaning, should she spend Christmas with him? Our children say yes, she says, but their mothers, both of their mothers are still living. They say no. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Should people rekindle when they're lonely out of trauma? And maybe this isn't a case of just trauma, but here's one of the things I want people who do decide to reconnect, rekindle, connect, enter into contract, enter into covenant, into relationship, fresh off trauma, that you need to set some boundaries. Okay. And I'm going to call these boundaries the 3 R's. And while I'm bringing these 3 R's forward, I want you to take a moment and click share, tag someone to join us in this conversation, someone who may be going through a similar time in their lives, or someone who just needs to know that there are other people out there experiencing the same thing. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after hearing from one of our partners, who is Christina Smith with Powerful Tools, LLC.
Welcome to Powerful Money Tools, LLC. At Powerful Money Tools, we are here to prepare for your future. We want to talk about financial freedom. Financial freedom is budgeting, credit building, and also financial education. So once again, welcome to Powerful Money Tools, LLC. We can't wait to help you in your financial future.
Thanks, Christina Smith, for Powerful Tools, Money Tools LLC. Listen, she's helped a number of women, especially some men as well, in our Love and Stuff community get their financial house in order, get their credit together, get their life insurance together, get their wills together, get their bank accounts together. And she's done an amazing job, and she can do the same for you. She's Powerful Money Tools LLC, and she can't wait to help you. Thank you, Christina Smith. We're going back to that topic, and we're talking about, do the lonely at Christmas enter into relationships? And all I want to say as I talk about these 3 things, I don't think you want to enter into the relationship lightly. This woman writes to us in the inbox and she says, what do the lonely do for Christmas? Contemplate marriage. She's been divorced for 9 years and she's worked through most of the issues that she says contributed to the destruction of their, and he has too, referring to her ex. Recently, their son, adult son, passed away suddenly. They've spent considerable time together, comforting themselves, each other, and their children in many ways. And they've talked about getting back together, but she feels like it's out of loneliness and trauma. He's invited her to spend Christmas with him, and she is considering it because she doesn't want to be alone. She's saying, should she? Now, their children, they have 2 other children who are saying yes, but both of these two, the 2 exes, their mothers say no. What do you say about spending that time with someone who, as you heard Lacey on, or maybe sharing what Lacey said on TikTok, that it's trauma bonding, whether or not the bonding or could be a healthy bonding for that relationship? I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments what you think, just like Lacey did on TikTok, whether you're on Twitter or Twitch or YouTube events. Let me know you're tracking with us and that you can contribute to this conversation. All right. I'm going to just check across platforms. I'm still not hearing from Instagram, and I'm a little concerned at this point that maybe it didn't stay live after a certain amount of work toward it. Thank you for those in the Grown and Sexy group. Thank you. I can see who's joining us. Thank you so much. To get there, Friends Now in Love. Thank you so much. Okay, it's trying to give us some issues on this connection. Come on, connection, stick with us. All right. Athar Kareem, Suamati, thank you for joining us. Inside Love and Stuff, Truth Hurts, Relationships Right Now. All of you, I want you to click share and tag someone to join us, and especially those of you that may have had some experience to this. All right. One of the things that is that they comforted each other in many ways. I don't know if you picked that up. I'll come back to it. I wondered what was meant by that. How did you comfort each other? And to become intimate again, have sexual relations in moments where they were reminiscing, having nostalgia, thinking about their son. Those are things that I want to find within a relationship. And I think they're important things to find: comfortableness, familiarity, and safety. I think all of us would want to be in a place like that, even though we might want excitement and adventure. We want to feel like we're in a spot where we're safe, right? And so I wanted to share with her, as I'm sharing with you, some of the things I think you might consider. Now, Love and Stuff is a place that you can come without judgment. It doesn't mean that people won't have differing beliefs, experiences, opinions, and perspectives. But the hope is that when you hear a different experience, belief, or perspective, that you will allow it to inform yours, challenge yours, counter yours, so that you come up with the best position to have, that it will help you to enhance yours. Okay. And in so doing, that enhancement will help you go in your relationships and your life to another level. All right. All right. Just checking across platforms and making sure the everything is working well. Thank you for joining. All right. So 3 things in considering, if you consider relationships that you're entering in, that they require a certain amount of safety, psychological or emotional, that they require a certain amount of comfortableness, which some might consider it close and akin to safety, that they would have a certain amount of familiarity, that you feel like this is somebody that you know, like, and trust. I think the first thing that you have to do, if you are in a grief space, in a trauma space, and contending with the very basic throes of that trauma. So it's very fresh, it's very new, you're contending with it, you're trying to get your head around it, you're trying to navigate it. I would say off the bat, that's not an ideal time to enter into a new relationship, enter into a new covenant, enter into a new commitment, enter into a new contract. I would not advise that. That's me personally. But if you're going to go in sober and vigilant, excuse me. And here's how I think you do that. Number one, you got to recognize that there is the potential that you are moving into something because you are trying to move out of your grief or trauma space. You got to recognize that those 3 things I talked about the safety, the comfortableness, and the familiarity may not be exactly as they seem because your perception could be impacted. It could be impacted by what you are experiencing, and you might lend yourself too easily to believe present. Things are, when in fact, it could just be, it is an emotional draw to drain you because you have a like down spirits. And so you feel like it's a match and you feel comfortable there. But being comfortable in a space doesn't mean it's the best place for you to sit. So you got to recognize that there is a potential that what you see as it relates to familiarity and what you see as it relates to comfortableness and what you see, right? What you see as it relates to emotional or psychological safety may not in and of themselves be total reality. Your sense of perception, your sense of what is actually occurring could be off, and rightfully so if you're experiencing some trauma or grief. So number one, you got to recognize whether or not what you are experiencing is actually what you're experiencing. Well, how do I do that? You kind of have to build for yourself a litmus test to see, is what I'm experiencing temporal? And if I turn off pieces of the faucet, does water still run? If I turn off the sex and affection, do I still feel safe? If I think about what made me comfortable enough to leave the situation, do I still feel like I'm comfortable? Have I recognized that there's been time and space between me and this individual where they may have grown and or changed, and maybe I did too? Are we really as familiar with each other as we think? You got to recognize that you're potentially entering into something that looks one way, feels one way, smells, sounds one way, and is fully at the same time something very different. Okay. So first you got to recognize that you could be entering into this space simply on the merits that you are lonely and you are in grief or trauma. And you may be different than the person from our inbox whose trauma was fresh. Her son suddenly passed away. Maybe your trauma happened 5 years ago, 10 years, 15 years, and it resurfaces around the holiday because it happened around the holiday, or it resurfaces around the holiday because you missed the presence and camaraderie and fellowship of those who were once present. And each holiday, you're reminded of their absence and you feel this aching loneliness. Remember that when you're connecting with someone, entering into an agreement, a contract, a commitment, it might not be the terms that you actually think that are when you enter into that. Okay. You got to recognize that's number one. Number two, you got to reflect. I think reflection is so powerful. And if you follow the Love and Stuff page or you follow me on LinkedIn, you've seen a daily post each day this month about reflection. As we close out this end of the year, and really as you close out your week, I'm a really big proponent of reflecting on what has happened and why. So I would say that if you're entering into a space where you are rekindling relationships, and what you share in common in the moment is grief, I want you to reflect on what you shared before the grief and why. Reflect on, now that you're healed, why it did not work out before. Reflect on what didn't work and why. Reflect on who did what and how that might need to be different this time around. Reflect on all of the things that you have shared experiences in. This should serve a little bit to sober you up, because a lot of times when the chestnuts are roasting on the open fire and Jack Frost or Jack Daniels or Hennessy is nipping at your nose, A little turkey and some mistletoe is making your season bright. You want to make sure that you are soberly thinking about what this has been before. What has it been? Yes, it could be different this time around, but have we learned from the mistakes? We say we've been healed from them, but I think you go a step further, if you will, a step farther, though it is kind of intangible in this regard. You go a step farther beyond healing to learning. You can be healed and not fully learn the lesson. And so I'm healed from that trauma, but did I learn not to put myself in a similar trauma again? Did I learn a lesson about me and what I contributed to that trauma? I'm talking now about the destruction of a marriage, as I say, strongly stated their marriage was destroyed by various contributions on both sides. You can get healed from that. Do you learn the lesson? Which is very, very important that you learn the lesson to ensure that you don't repeat it again. Which is understand the why. Sure to lean in to get a full understanding. I think it's important for you to reflect. It's also important, after you're done, recognizing, is this really what I'm experiencing? Reflecting on what and why the experiences happened the way that they did. It's really important to do this third thing. And just as I take us to this third thing, I want to just share a couple of great people that are in the Love and Stuff community. One of them is Detroit Couture. June Rochelle Eaton is a game changer around fashion. And if you are still in the market for some wonderful pieces, you should check out Detroit Couture.
Hi, my name is June Rochelle, and I own Detroit Couture. We are a fashion forward women's boutique, and we offer friendly sizes from small all the way up to 3X women's sizes, very generously fit, very great quality. I actually have on one of our pieces today. It's called the Cuffed Up. It's in gray, burgundy, and black and olive, and it actually has a lot of stretch and give. So listen, in this time, we try to make sure that first of all, it's quality and customer service that we offer our clients. And I'm so glad to have this opportunity to share with you. So go and visit us at DetroitCouture.com.
DetroitCouture.com. I'm telling you, there are some amazing pieces there. And companion to that, there's another young lady in the Love and Stuff community who is doing her thing with her jewelry. Her name is Nicole Baldwin, and you can follow her here on Facebook and on YouTube. We're going to be getting her to Twitter and Twitch and all of these other places to sell her wonderful jewelry. Nicole, we appreciate your partnership.
Good times. These are the good times. Leave your cares behind.
You want to leave those cares behind with that amazing jewelry, coupled with some of June's amazing pieces. Ladies, you'll be ready to go out on the town, whether you're feeling lonely or you're feeling a part of the group. You will stand out from the crowd. You will be amazing. So consider both of them as wonderful vendors that are connected to our Love and Stuff community. Thank you, June and Nicole. I'm going to the third thing. It's 9:08. And we've been talking about from the inbox What do the lonely do at Christmas? Do they contemplate marriage? I want to hear from you. Are there any things that you would not do at the Christmas time that you say, hey, if I'm in a grief space or if I'm feeling lonely, these are some things I'm absolutely not going to do? I want to hear from you. Can you drop in the comments and tell us what are some of the things you absolutely would not do, would not consider doing in that grief space? All right, I'm just trying to turn this down a little bit. All right. Thank you, Alicia AC Bradford's watching us, Pam McCree Sampson. I'm interested to hear from you. What are the things that you absolutely would not do during the Christmas? For me, again, because I have been in grief spaces, I have been in trauma spaces at and around the holiday season, I would not enter into a major contract. Not if I'm sitting in the center of that grief. And if you're in grief and you're struggling to get out the bed and struggling to get dressed, or you are having thoughts that you might not see the new year, you might not make it through, you're having thoughts of disappointments, regret in your life, when you're having deep consternation about your next moves and you're not sure about a move, I'd say don't move. I say make sure that you are sober and vigilant. And sometimes that requires enlisting the help of a therapist, some assistance from a professional source, so that you'll be able to navigate that space. But for me, I would not enter into, when the preacher takes you to the altar, he says, marriage is not to be entered into lightly, right? So it's not something you want to do if you don't feel like, and even if you do feel like, if someone has advised you, that maybe you need to consider whether or not you're entering into it lightly. You don't do it when you are reeling, grappling to get to your feet from trauma, divorce, death, foreclosure, layoff. All of those are times I would say pause. Pause before you enter into a new agreement. Pause before you enter into a new contract. Pause and make sure that outside of that trauma, outside of that grief, outside of that loss, that you would feel free to move the same way. Would you move if you had not lost your home? Would you be getting into an apartment that you couldn't afford, for an example? If you had not lost your spouse, would you be out on a date with somebody brand new that you'd met off the internet and no conversations? And then you get there and he looks more like his brother in the background, right? He's kind of catfishing you. Would you navigate or move differently? If you would outside of that grief space, then you don't want to operate in new contracts and new commitments and new covenants. I'm using those C's because oftentimes we don't see a contract as a commitment, as a covenant. We don't see a covenant as a commitment, as a contract. And while those could be individually themselves, they can all take on the form of a relationship that could easily and quickly go to the left if your expectations going in it are not with the free thought and free will of a clear mind. Which brings us to that third thing. That third thing, and thank those of you that are joining us, Ryan UIL on TikTok. That third thing is recalibrate. I want you to consider that you've recognized whether or not there is truly emotional and psychological safety, truly a comfortableness between the two of you, and truly a familiarity, meaning you know who this person is today. You're going to recognize whether or not that's truly the perfect environment, and it's not because you are coming together as a result of grief, trauma, or loss. Okay? Doesn't mean those things can't bring people together, but the coming and sustainability of that relationship should not be based and founded on that. Okay? And you need to recognize whether or not it is. Then you need to reflect on why and how you got here, right? when you're getting in this relationship, the why and and why, and the why and the what, really. You can use the how, but what is this and why is this? Why have we come to this juncture? Why are we there? Why are we here? How did we arrive here? What brought us here? Okay? Reflect on it. Reflect on what it was before. Is there a reason why we broke up before, if it's rekindling? Is there a reason why I went very slow in other relationships? Reflect, because you want it to sober you up so that you're thinking soberly about entering into covenant, commitment, contract, right? You don't want to go in those unadvisedly or lightly. So sober up by reflecting. Hey, I've been down this path before where I met somebody off the internet and didn't spend time getting to know him or her. I've been down this path before with this ex, and he does well for 2 months, but then he cuts up in month 3. I've been down this path of emotional and verbal abuse. I've been down this path. Sober up to make sure it's not just nostalgia, romanticism. You're romanticizing getting back together. Sober up and reflect on what it was to see if there's any semblance of it still is. And thirdly, recalibrate. And the biggest part of recalibrate, because I say recalibration is like getting the traction back, getting things back on track, is to determine whether or not you're investing in this for it to go forward at a pace with boundaries that make sense for you. Now that you've learned, I'm sober, I recognize there's some emotional safety I feel in here, but I'm going to set boundaries because last time the emotional safety was not sustainable because his ego, his narcissism, her imposter syndrome, her jealousy was so enormous that it enveloped our relationship and sucked the life out of or choked the life out of any psychological and emotional safety. So you set boundaries. Boundaries that make you feel safe and give you an exit strategy if needed. Boundaries that send signals to the other person that if you give me a glimmer of where we were before, I'm going to put more space between me and thee while we're absent one from another. You're going to set boundaries so that you remain safe and comfortable and whole. While, keep in mind, you are still healing. You're healing from that trauma. And some people might not believe it, but a foreclosure is a trauma. A breakup is a trauma. Can be. A health scare can be a trauma. A diagnosis can be a trauma. A divorce can be a trauma. And certainly the loss of a child suddenly or after a long period, or a parent or sibling or friend can be so traumatic that you have to set effective boundaries as you're entering into new covenant commitments and contracts so that you remain in control and remain safe as you go forward. Now, there's a part of stepping out into relationships that you risk that safety, right? You take a chance on whether or not that person is going to do right. And you can never fully eliminate that risk or chance that something could go awry. But you can minimize its impact and shock on your emotional absorbers, your shock system, right? You can start to set boundaries that help you brace for when you see a rough corner is coming your way. And that is what is most important, that each individual builds for him or herself boundaries that are going to help them in case times get rough or tough in this new commitment contract that you're experiencing. Really important to do. Because you could find yourself back in the same situation, the same covenant with someone who has not changed at all. And with someone who has no intent to change, even though they're going through the most harrowing and excruciating time of their life. See, when we see others suffer, even if they're suffering the same thing as we are, we tend to have more grace and empathy for them, even if that's not what they need. Because a person who has not done well with character, their character, has not done well with discipline, does not typically get better in the midst of trauma. It tends to bring out that worst in them. Some, gratefully, have metamorphosis, have spiritual awakenings that going through the darkest times turns the tide for them. But there is that chance that a person deepens into the hole in which they have sunk instead of rising up out of it. And the pull of gravity might pull you right along with them. And if you are in the midst of your own trauma, the last place you need to be is somewhere where you're going to be sucked and pulled into a hole. You need to join with someone who is lifting you up out of that hole, hopefully from the level ground, because they might have a better footing and more leverage to pull you up if they're up above you than if they're coming out of the hole with you. It might feel good to dig out of a hole with someone, but they might not have the traction and leverage to help you get out of the hole. And you need to be aware of that, entering into covenant, commitment, contracts. What do the lonely do at Christmas? You might contemplate marriage. You might contemplate entering into some brand new arrangement, agreement, transaction, debt, whatever. And maybe those in and of themselves are not the worst things that you could do. But they don't get better because you are in a grief space or trauma. They tend to become more intense and have more at stake. The stakes become higher because often we have more to lose than we know. I want to hear from you. I know some of you have joined us. AC Bradford, Pamela McCree, Tay Pender, Auntie Kim, Robert Cacho, Cole Riley. Thank those of you that are coming in on TikTok. I appreciate you. Those of you on YouTube, those of you that are on Facebook. I haven't heard from Instagram, so I think I may have pressed the wrong button. I'm going to have to go live later on Instagram. It's my first time doing the Restream Live on Instagram. And I think I now understand that I have to kind of do it from a different device. It didn't work. It wasn't appearing to work. And then it kind of looked like it went blank. So I apologize to anybody that might have been watching on Instagram. But if you're still there, drop in the comments so that I'll know you're here. And Twitter. This week debuts for Twitter, or formerly Twitter, now X, that your comments will be seen in the stream. So I want to hear from those of you that are on Twitter, some of you who inbox me there, a few of you that were having inbox conversations. I want to include your inboxes for topics, but I need you chiming in the comments so I'll know that it'll be okay to use your topics. We always, unless we get your permission to mention your names and any other information, we always honor your anonymity, because we want to broach the topics that might provide you some insight to your situation. You know, a lot of love and relationship shows are about putting this person together with this person, or telling women you're not nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing, you're big, you're fat, you're this and that. That's not what we do in the Love and Stuff community. Now, I believe I'm still 17 for 17 last time I counted, but I don't spend my time trying to put people together, though I think I've had some success doing it. And it's been kind of fun to do, I will admit. But that's not what I do as the love activist. I advocate for better love for you and me, because if we get the love, who is the quintessential love, that is God. If we get our love with Him, His require the Bible says that the whole duty of man is to love God with everything you have. This is the way that I'm going to put it, right? To walk circumspectly, and really, the only way you can really walk circumspectly in this world is to walk in love, right? But God says He wants us to love Him with all that we have, mind, body, and soul, and your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Every law that there is hangs on the way that you're going to respond to God's love and love Him back, and the way you love yourself, and then meet that love, pour that love out to your neighbor. So the activation, the activism rather that I'm doing is to get you and I to work on this love. Because if we work out this love, we'll be better at this love. I believe if you get this love right, you will draw this love to you, and you will meet out to it, pour on it generously, because you're generously loving yourself. The self-love, besides those of us, if you're like me, we neglect that relationship from time to time, that vertical. The self-love is the neglected love, because no one spends time like they should loving themselves. We'll spend a lot of time trying to love our spouses, our pets, our children, our siblings, our parents, and we should. But the way we love them should be a reflection of how we love ourselves. And if you are loving yourself, you understand that when you experience a trauma, when you experience a loss, when you are in grief, it is a pause space for you to make sure that you are okay before you bring other love on the scene. It's a place for you to recognize, am I okay? And it's okay to pause and say, I'm not okay. And if you know that you're not okay, make it your business that you don't enter into a relationship, a commitment, a covenant, or a contract, because you might be entering into it from that place of not okayness, if you will. And when we do that, we do a disservice with the party or parties that we're entering into agreement with, because we're not at full throttle, we're not our best selves, and we're not poised to give the best to that relationship. Until you position yourself to give the best to yourself, you're not in a position to give the best to anyone else. And how do you do that? Broken, where your hope has been dashed, and when you're in despair. I know that place. It's December 19th, and just almost 9 years ago, on December 15th, my mother took flight from Earth. She took her heavenly flight. And I am a man who is and was in love with his mother. And I know a lot of men, boys, young men, males, who could say amen right now if we were in church, that there is something about the mother-son relationship that is indescribable. Now, I know there are women saying, same for daughter-father. I hear you. But there's something about that relationship that's indescribable. She's the first woman that you kissed, and maybe not kissed. She's the first woman who cooked you a good meal, hopefully, just like mine was an excellent cook. She's the woman whose perfume you remember, who showed you what womanhood looked like, what being firm and soft was in the same phrase, what baking a good cake was, and making a home-cooked meal, and caring for others throughout the neighborhood. She showed you what motherhood and womanhood, sisterhood and wifehood was all about. And in many cases, she did it on a shoestring budget, with grace, dignity, and grit. And you put her in a special place that other women might have been compared to her or never lived up to. And I'm telling you that in that space where I could hardly lift my head to get things done, I did try to move and navigate in places that I had no business because it was from a place of brokenness. See, when you're broken, you also might have a fear of never being fixed. And so you might lean into people and things that don't have any power to fix you, but that might temporarily soothe the ache, the longing, the desire to be whole again. You might lean into some activities or lean into some philosophies or ideologies that don't lend themselves to helping you become whole again. You might find yourself angry and disappointed and hurt. And out of those emotions, you may struggle not to misdirect them on other people that you love or hope to grow to love. You may isolate yourself in ways that make you untouchable and unreachable by those who want to simply hold you, help you, and lend you a helping hand. So you have to be careful because everything that you're experiencing that you're calling lonely moments, while they feel lonesome, they are a dedicated space for you to pause so that you can become okay. What do the lonely do at Christmas? They can do whatever they want, but they better recognize, reflect, and recalibrate because it could make the difference in the trajectory of the rest of their love and the rest of their lives. I'm so glad I could share this from the inbox with you. And if any of it resonated with you, I hope you will click share and help the Love and Stuff community spread the word about this loneliness at Christmas by tagging 5 of your closest Facebook friends, followers on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitch, connections, and subscribers on YouTube or on Twitter. I forgot one of the platforms. To invite people to watch this and to comment on it. And as we track with the comments, we hope that it will help somebody, including the woman in the inbox and her ex, who we wish the very best for, that people will begin to think about their love game and will up their love game. I want to bring to your attention just a few things before we go, that it is Christmas time, and we would love for you to join us in helping those that are less fortunate. You can go to our Shopify store and get any of our gear that is listed there, and a percentage of that will go to help. But we also have in our Shopify store, along with hoodies and sweatshirts and the like, we also have the opportunity for you to go and purchase one of the gift boxes. What we're going to do this year is combine all the dollars in the gift boxes. There's no administrative fee. It's a virtual gift box that you can purchase in the denomination of $10, $20, or $50. And we are selecting families that we're just going to give gift cards or give the money to, cash app them so that they can buy food or clothing or toys or whatever they will have to help their hearts be warm and their bodies warm during this season. There are 2 people in our Love and Stuff community. I'm sorry, 3 people in our Love and Stuff, 3 families in our Love and Stuff community that we particularly want to help. I'm not giving the names at this moment, but these are people who need our help. One is in the battle of a lifetime with a debilitating diagnosis. We want to help. One is transient due to domestic violence that we want to help. And one is still struggling to pull it together after the loss of a child. if you're willing to help us help these 3 families and individuals in particular, we would be eternally grateful. And you can do it now by going to the Shopify store at that link that I just put up on the QR code. You're welcome to go there, and it will. You can click on the catalog. It'll show the gift boxes. I apologize, I don't have the gift box link right here, but you scan that code. It'll take you to our Shopify store. Let me see if I can quickly get the Shopify store information for you. That might even be better. Yep. That's what I will do, give you the Shopify store so you can see. I'm going to get the link and put it in the comments so that you can get to the gift boxes. Okay, there we go. It's in our collections page. I'm going to copy this link and put it here so that you will have it in the comments in the chat. I'm putting it there. All right. Some platforms will get to see that. The others that don't, I'm showing it right there so that it'll be there. And I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what that page looks like. You should be able to see this right now, the screen here. I'm sorry, on TikTok, you can't see that screen, but I'm going to drop you the link there. And there's the large gift box is 50, medium is 20, small is 10. They're virtual gift boxes, so there's nothing in the box. You're really contributing a donation. And there is no administrative fee that Love and Stuff collects. The $50 you give, or $10, or you might want to do two $50, two $10. Whatever you give will go into that collective pot, and we'll divide it among these families and individuals so that they can have a leg up during this time and season. Okay, so I wanted to just share that with you. That there is that link. I'm going to leave that link there for just a minute. And I want to thank you so much. Right before we go, as always, I want to share with you a little bit about the gratefulness journey every day.
Marcus, I want to congratulate you on Love and Stuff. I really want you to know that staying grateful and understanding the power of what it is to be operating out of a space of abundance and gratitude is the most important part of every journey of every day. So Marcus June, congratulations on this book. It's on Amazon now. That makes me so proud of you and your family and me and my family, and every single person around us gets it. So good on you for bringing it into the hands and the laps and the Kindles of all the people. Okay, so we're going to check it out. Can't wait to learn more.
I want to thank MJ of Shahs of Sunset, Mercedes Javid, and she says, Marcus June, Marcus friend. That's what that means. Thank you for calling me friend, and thank you for helping me to spread the word about the gratefulness journey every day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? It is available now on Amazon. It makes a great gift. It's a great read, and it tells you a little bit about my grief and trauma and how I came to the practice of gratefulness as a part of that. And so I would love it if you would get your copy of the ebook or copy of the hardcover. It's a 70-page read. It's not a long read, but it's a powerful one. And there are 3 practices inside this book that if you put to practice for 30 days will transform your existence, will transform your life. So I want to encourage you to consider that book and to share it. And I'm just so grateful for the space and time. It's 9:38. I'm a little bit over the time, but I wanted to come on with that topic. And thank you so much for being here with me. And again, I hope you will share it. And I will see you very soon, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Darren Williams, Pastor Darren Williams leads the exploration of the Advent season in love and the scriptures. And shout out to him and all of you in the Love in the Scriptures group. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. And then Saturday, you don't want to miss a special Christmas show with our two favorite guys who love sports talk with Kamal and Felix. Kamal Williams, our associate producer, and Felix Holmes, his co-host, do an amazing job of giving you all of the rundown of the sports, latest news, stupid sports news, women in sports that no one has the eye on, and the topic of the week that you get to choose. If you go to their group, Sports Talk with Kamal and Felix has their own group, and the group is continuing to grow. You can join it by scanning that QR code and joining them. They have exciting things and prizes and opportunities that happen in the group. And as sometimes it happens, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little trash talk there among the teams that they love the most. And so if you like any of that or all of that, these two guys love sports. And we hope in the Love and Stuff sphere, in the diaspora of Love and Stuff, to bring you in our own network all things we love: people, sports, scriptures, all of the things that mean something of value to you and I. I'm Marcus Holmes, the love activist. I'm so excited that you could join me tonight. And I hope, again, that you will click share, tag 5 of your closest connections, subscribers, followers, or friends, 5 of the more popular ones to keep the discussion going. What do the lonely do at Christmas? Click the notification at the top of the page so you can be notified when we go live, and we'll do just that. And you have an amazing evening.